Hey, I'm Steve Lato, and today we're going to walk through the Houghton Falls Nature Preserve in Wisconsin. This is a beautiful little area named after Douglas Houghton. Douglas Houghton, of course, is an explorer who did a lot of exploring in Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota. Best known for his connections to Michigan, though he's the state geologist. Yep. And I was taking a canoe trip earlier this year. I had to cancel it, but it was an homage to Douglas Houghton, who had traveled basically from Sault Ste. Marie to Duluth in 1840. And along the way, he would have passed near this area. And we're not sure if he ever actually stopped by here. It's named after him, but I suspect he bypassed it as he stopped on Madeline Island instead and stopped at La Pointe. But Houghton Falls, according to their website, is a picturesque Precambrian sandstone gorge along the Lake Superior shoreline. And that's an understatement. In fact, words fail to describe it. I've sped this up as we walk through the woods because the trail here is not as interesting as where the trail will take us. But there are dramatic sandstone cliffs ahead of us that extend then into the waters of Lake Superior. And then from there you can see some of the Apostle Islands. The gorge, which is formed by a creek, is shaded by second-growth hemlock, yellow birch, white cedar, and some large white pines. But here's what you see. And again, words really fail to describe this, but this gorge has been formed over centuries by water action. The day today, there's not much water in the gorge because it's a hot July day and there hasn't been rain for a few days preceding me walking down here with my camera. But you can see that it's a beautiful and unusual gorge. That shot right there is the one you see people taking all the selfies of, and I'll use that as the thumbnail at the front end of this video. But everywhere you look, it's just fascinating. And, you know, this has been developing over time, and I'm sure the first explorers who saw it in the 1830s were just as amazed by it as the natives were previous to that, and as we are today as we visit it, walking through the Houghton Falls State Natural Area. This land we're on, we're allowed to be on here, but it's interesting to note that to get here, you have to cross over private property. The local private property owners have granted permission for people to cross the property. They just say basically, you know, be respectful, and we'll let you do that. And it's very nice of them. And then you cross the property, and you get to look at things like this. So if you were here in the springtime, perhaps, there'd be water rushing through here. If you visit in the winter, I've seen photographs where you can see ice and snow, and it takes on a whole different look then. And like I said, right now it's pretty dry down here because it hasn't been that wet lately, although there's some big storms earlier this summer. The last few days prior to my visit, it was dry, and it pretty much dried out the canyon. Now, along the upper canyon are cliff shelves that have protected and support Canada yew, which is a favorite shrub of deer. Did not see any deer today. Deer tend to stay away from noisy hikers. And at the north end of the ravine, overlooking Lake Superior, a series of sandstone points dominated by white pine and red pine drop dramatically 15 feet to the water. And there is a stream that meanders through the site, cascades over exposed sandstone before dropping 60 feet into the rippled sandy cove at Lake Superior. Before you get there, though, you hit the Echo Dells, another little spot you can hike out over and take a look at. It was so quiet and peaceful today, I did not yell anything to see if the echo was there, but I assume there is one. Otherwise, they wouldn't have named it as such, would they have? Okay. Echo Dells supports dense stands of hemlock to the south with yellow birch and mountain maple common, and the understory includes intermediate wood fern, thimbleberry, and small enchanter's nightshade, which sounds magical. Check out those funky trees growing out of the edges of the cliff there. And it's just, like I said, fascinating to stand here and take all this in. You could spend hours walking around out here, just looking at the stuff, taking photographs, and just admiring this unusual geological formation. And like I said, there's a creek that flows through here. It's pretty much seasonal. There's not really any water flowing through it now to speak of, except small pools there. So then we'll follow the trail down now towards Lake Superior. And at one point, we're going to cross a railroad bridge, and the railroad, when they put that in, they actually built up an embankment with pipes going through it so the river could flow through it. It's kind of hard to see, but the gorge is fascinating all along here. It's pretty deep, and it's just really, really neat scenery to check out. There are some birds that often hang out in this area, including bald eagles, merlin, flycatchers, and Canada warblers. And there we just crossed over the railroad trestle. There's a sign explaining the railway that used to be there. And now we're looking down at the section as it approaches the lake. And you can also notice that the trail is now dipping noticeably down towards sea level, or actually Lake Superior level here. The woodpeckers are active in the area also, as you can imagine. And as we get down closer to the water, the sound will pick up a little bit. It's a bit of a windy day today, but also the waves on the shore let us know that we are getting very close. And here we are at Chequamegon Bay. And it is a nature preserve, not a playground. The sign is there as a reminder. And interestingly enough, I've mentioned before that the storm that caused me to cancel my canoe trip hit the whole shoreline of Lake Superior. It was centered on the Keweenaw Peninsula, which is east of this a little bit. But even this area got hit kind of hard, and you can see that the water is still filled with sand and mud that washed out from the storm. And it's starting to clear up. Off in the distance, you'll see it a little bit better in a second, but off in the distance the water is blue. But here closer to shore it's not. And I'm pretty certain that if you came back here in a year or two, or if you'd been here previously, you'd be able to see clear water right at the edge of the point here. But on a day like today, no, you can't see because the water is still mucky from the storms. Off in the distance, I believe that's one of the Apostle Islands. Probably Madeline Island is off in the distance. That would be the town of La Pointe, where Douglas Houghton would have visited in 1840. It's one of the earliest trading posts set up by European descendants. Was on Madeline Island, and I know there's a town there now, of course. And as you come down here, trying very hard not to trip over these roots, wearing sandals. And my biggest fear is that as I carry a camera and step over things, I'm going to trip over either a root, a rock, or myself. And I did manage to avoid falling down today, which is, for me, a bonus, especially when I'm carrying camera equipment. So I'll step down here from one level to the next. And hey, how you doing there? Off in the distance, a boat. And here we have some other curiously carved stone. Of course, if you can imagine on days where the water is a little higher and hitting a little harder, the wave action would carve out the sandstone to look like this. And, water's a little mellow on a day like today. A little bit of wave action, but not a whole lot. But if you're ever in the area of Wisconsin near Ashland, cruising along US 2, I would urge you to head north, go through Washburn. A little further up, you can get on Houghton Falls Road, find the parking lot, and hike down. It's about 7/10 of a mile of a hike, but it is certainly worth it. The view from here is spectacular, and the view of the gorge itself as you hike through the Houghton Falls State Natural Area is also, it's unlike anything you'll see anywhere else, especially in the Midwest. It's certainly worth a visit. Like I said, it's a short hike. It's not difficult at all, and it's free. So it's a great thing to do, spend an afternoon hiking down and checking out the spectacular views. And now I will speed it up as we hike back out the same way we came in. So tell you what we'll do is probably cut it short here because the hike out's pretty much the same as the hike in, just going the other direction. Hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.